You're listening to Mic Drop Moments, a podcast brought to you each week with me, your host, Sandra Garlick. During the podcast, I invite guests to share their amazing stories, knowledge, and top tips, including their mic drop moments, especially for you. I also share my learning and inspiration about life, business growth, and visibility. I'm delighted to bring the Mic Drop Moments podcast to you each week to inspire and motivate you to achieve. Enjoy the podcast and don't forget to leave a review. Mic Drop Moments is sponsored by Grow Radio. Want to launch your own podcast? Grow Radio are here to help. Grow Radio has launched and supported countless podcasts, and they'd love to do the same for you. Just hit record and they'll handle the rest. No editing stress, no technical faff, just a great podcast released when you want. Need a little extra support? Grow Radio's workshops and courses make getting started easy. Let's bring your podcast to life. Message Grow Radio on social media. Let's make this happen. Hello and welcome to another episode of Mic Drop Moments, and today I want to talk all about awards. Now, before you switch off and think, oh God, here she is again, Sandra's talking about awards again, stay with me, because this episode isn't really just about awards. It's about opportunity, it's about visibility, and it's about confidence. And it's about the stories we tell ourselves that stop us putting ourselves forward. And over the years, through Woman Who, I've seen thousands of award entries. I've read them. Now, I don't judge them myself, but I've judged other awards. I've spoken to finalists, winners, entrants, and people who almost entered, but didn't. And what fascinates me each year isn't the people who enter awards, it's the people that don't. Because the reasons they don't enter are rarely about time or money or even the application form. Usually it's something far deeper. It's a belief, it's a fear, it's a story they're telling themselves, a reason they've convinced themselves they're not ready. So today I want to challenge some of those stories, because whether you've ever entered an award or not, I think this episode will really make you think differently about visibilities and the opportunities you're creating for yourself. Now, before I even start, I want to say I'm a huge advocate for self-nomination. Not one of these where you get an email into your inbox and says you've been nominated, and then when you ask for the nomination, there isn't one. It's just somebody saying, oh, why don't you contact them? And it's not a list builder here. This is a pure self-nomination. You've researched awards, you've looked into them, and you're nominating yourself, because I'll share a secret with you. Everybody who enters Woman Who Awards enter themselves. And I think there was one person that was entered by a third party in May, and last October there was one person entered by their husband. Everybody else entered themselves. So whatever you see on social media, oh, I've just been nominated, they've had to do a self-nomination, because just being nominated often doesn't do the entry form for you. So let's just clear that one up first. Let's talk about the opportunity you taught yourself out of. So have you ever taught yourself out of something before you've even tried? Perhaps it was a speaking opportunity or a podcast interview or a collaboration, a promotion, yes, an award. And then immediately you've looked at it and you've thought, actually, I'm not experienced enough. I can't do that. I'm not successful enough. I'm not ready. I'll be ready next year. I'm sure there are people far more deserving than me. And so you quietly close the application form and carry on with your day. The opportunity disappears. And it's not because you weren't capable, but because you decided not to put yourself forward. And I see this happen all the time, particularly with women in business. I see them waiting. They wait until they feel more confident. They wait until the business is bigger. They wait until they've achieved more. They wait until somebody notices them. Now, I've seen this so many times. Oh, I can't enter awards. It's not for people like me. My business isn't big enough yet. I'll try next year. I haven't achieved anything. Or I'll wait to be nominated. And as I've said, everybody self-nominates. Meanwhile, you see somebody with less experience, less expertise, and less impact, and they do decide to enter. And you know what? Sometimes they win, not because they're better, but because they took action and put themselves forward. And visibility often starts with one simple decision, the decision to stop hiding. And that belief in yourself, actually, what's the worst that can happen? And I'd just like to say here that the Woman Who Awards, I deliberately designed the entry form so it's a value piece for you. Because I don't want you to spend all that time filling in an entry form and have no value from it. So it's actually a snapshot in time of where you are right now, and the information you gather to enter that form will be of huge benefit. Some people say they go through all sorts of emotions while they're completing the form. Some people feel they don't realise how much they've achieved, and others say it actually make them formulate where they are in business and where they're going. So I'm going to share the 5 stories that I believe stop people entering awards, and we'll tackle some of the biggest stories I hear. So story number 1, I'm not successful enough. What does successful enough even mean? Too many people think actually that success is measured by turnover, and it isn't, especially not with my awards. There might be people with multi-million-pound turnovers, and there might be people who are only turning over £5,000 or £10,000 a year right now, and that's okay. I've even judged awards, not my own, obviously. I've judged awards where the most powerful entries weren't from the biggest businesses. They're from people creating incredible impact. They've got amazing stories. They're helping communities. They're supporting their clients. They're changing lives. Remember, success is different for everyone. This episode is sponsored by Sam Ballington of the Association of Child and Family Coaches. Sam believes that lived experience matters. When combined with safe, ethical, accredited training, it can become a powerful force for change. Her work is focused on breaking intergenerational cycles of trauma by helping people transform their own experiences into professional practice that supports children, families, and communities. Sam also stands firmly against cheap, unsafe, unethical instant expert training that puts vulnerable people at risk. Real impact requires depth, accountability, supervision, and recognised standards. If you're ready to train with integrity, build a meaningful career, or learn more about this movement, visit www.childandfamilycoaching.org. Story number 2. I haven't been in business long enough. Now, I admit that if you've only got an idea and you're thinking about starting your business and you haven't launched yet, it's probably too soon for you right now. But if you've launched your business and you've started trading and you've got goals and aspirations for the future, then absolutely put yourself in for awards, because just getting to that point is a huge achievement in itself, and your backstory will probably back it up. I've seen businesses achieve remarkable things in 6 or 12 months. I've also seen businesses operating for less than 10 years, say, that still haven't found their feet. And time in business doesn't automatically equal impact. So remember to share those stories, those backstories, the things you did before, what you did growing up, and whether you've now turning your life around, whether you worked in corporate and were made redundant 3 times, all those stories matter. It shows resilience. Story number 3, I don't like talking about myself. This is probably the most common one, and the one that I'm seeing even now with the entries that are coming in. They talk about why they created the business, but not the story before. And it's often the story before, that final straw moment or that final light bulb moment that creates the business. It's the bit that leads up to that the judges are most interested in. They want the backstory. And by entering an award, it's not about boasting. It's not just about recognizing your achievements. It's about documenting your journey. It's about sharing that backstory. And if you don't tell people what you've achieved, how on earth are they going to find out? So just think about that for a moment and let it land. Story number 4, I'll do it next year. That's another really common one as well. People come up to me actually at the awards, because about 50-60% of people in the room aren't even entrants for the awards. They just come because it's such a great day. And so many people come up to me and say, oh, I've been truly inspired today. I'm going to enter next year. And I say, oh, why didn't you enter this year? Oh, I wasn't ready yet. It's such a common thread. And the famous next year, I call it. And the problem is next year often becomes the year after that, and then the year after that the same, because you'll never enter. And before you know it, 5 years have passed and you're still waiting for the perfect moment. And there's never a perfect moment, believe me. Your business will never be in the perfect situation where it's award ready. But you have to enter. And some people say to me, well, I've entered before and I didn't win, so I won't enter again. It's exactly the same principle. We're growing, we're evolving. We need to keep sharing those stories. Story number 5, I won't win. Perhaps you might not, but isn't entering a win in itself? Everybody at my awards gets to feel like a winner on the day. Everyone is invited up onto the stage. And do you know what? You don't know whether they're a finalist, an entrant, or a winner. They all come up together and they all have their moment. But saying that, some of the people who get the most visibility are those that maximize the journey, not the event itself. So have a think about that. Winning isn't the only outcome. In fact, I would argue it's not even the most valuable one, because many winners do nothing with their award winner at all. They don't even talk about it. So what are the real benefits of entering awards? When people think about awards, they usually think about the trophy, the photos, the stages, the celebrations, and they're all important because they're your visibility. That's your marketing collateral. And whilst those things are lovely, they're not the biggest benefit. The biggest benefit often happens long before the event, the moment you sit down and actually write your entry. Because suddenly you're forced to stop, to reflect on the journey, to review where you are at now, to take stock. You start looking at things differently. You look at the clients you've helped, the challenges you've overcome, the opportunities you've created, and the progress you've made, along with the impact you've had. You even sit there and think, what do I want in the future? What are my goals and aspirations for the future? What's coming up next? And what impact, what would the award win mean to me and my business? What effect would it have? Just thinking about that can take you so much further forward. And many business owners spend years moving from one task to the next without ever recognizing how far they've come. And one of the reasons I set up my awards was to enable women to feel more confident about recognizing their achievements and celebrating them, as well as creating more women in business role models to inspire others. And an award entry changes that. I've lost count of the number of people who've told me I didn't realize how much I'd achieved until I started writing my entry, and that alone makes it so worthwhile. So I've got a quick exercise for you. If you're listening to this whilst walking the dog or driving the car or drinking your coffee, I want you to come back to this exercise later with a notebook and a pen. Or you're remarkable if you're like me. And I want you to answer these 5 questions. Or maybe pause the podcast and write them down if you've got time to do so. What have I achieved in the last 12 months? What challenges have I overcome? Who have I helped? What impact have I created? What am I most proud of? Once you've got those questions written down, I want you to spend 10 minutes just writing under each one of those questions. No editing, no overthinking, no dismissing things as just doing my job. Write it all down. As I say, just write it without even thinking about it, just brain dump. If you're not a writer, maybe just brain dump on bullets or something like that. I promise you'll have more to say than you think. And that's exactly why awards matter. Not because of the trophy. It's because they force you during the application process to recognise your own progress. Well, the good awards do anyway. If there's no application form, you're not really being judged on being you and your business. I'm briefly interrupting this podcast to tell you that the Who Achieves Solopreneur Awards 2026 are open for entry. A solopreneur is a woman who works and makes the business decisions alone, as a sole director or sole trader. You can employ people or work with freelancers, but those all-important business decisions are all yours. Entries are open until midnight on Monday the 13th of July, but please don't leave it till the last minute. Just visit womanwho.co.uk/awards for all the key dates and how to enter. This is your opportunity to share your story, your achievements, and your goals and aspirations for the future. Plus, entering awards is a fantastic way to boost your visibility. Now back to the podcast. So that brings me nicely on to not all awards are created equal. So before I go any further, I want to add an important caveat. I absolutely believe with all my heart that awards can be a fantastic visibility tool, but not all awards are created equal, sadly. So if you're considering entering awards, do your research. Please, please do your research. Look beyond the shiny trophy and the glamorous photos and the email that lands saying you've won an award. How can you have won an award if you've not even spoken to them? Ask questions. Look at the credibility of the awards programme. Who are the organisers? How long have they been running it? Can you see evidence of past events? Who are the judges? Are they independent? Have they paid to be a judge? Do they have relevant experience? Is there a clear judging process and criteria? Is it transparent? Because unfortunately, there are some awards out there where recognition can feel more like a transaction than an achievement. Some rely heavily on public voting. That's just a list building exercise for the organiser. Some become popularity contests and very cliquey. You have to be in the clique to be considered. Others expect finalists or winners to purchase tables, advertising packages or sponsorship in order to simply secure recognition. Personally, I don't believe awards should be bought. I believe they should be earned on merit. The strongest awards programmes are built on integrity, independent judging, fair assessment, evidence, impact, achievement. So whether you're looking at my awards or anyone else's, take the time to do your homework. I say it's not all about the party. It's about what you're going to gain from the experience. So choose awards with credibility. Choose awards that align with your values. Choose awards where you'd be proud to be associated with the process as well as the outcome. Because a good award can really raise your visibility and your profile. And the right award can open doors you never even expected. So let me share a little about what judges are actually looking for. And this is my judges, but also when I judge awards. And let me share a little secret as well. Most people have no idea what the judges are looking for. They think the judges want polished corporate entries and language, fancy terminology, big buzzwords, big numbers, financial impact, perfect businesses. Judges don't. What my judges are looking for are the people themselves, the stories behind the people, the challenges they've overcome, the impact they've created, the authenticity, and most importantly, the passion behind the businesses. My judges even interview the finalists. They do an online interview, and the passion is what they're looking for. They're looking at the why. They're looking at the person behind the business. So I want to understand your journey as a judge. That's what we're looking for. We want to know what you've overcome. We want to know how you've helped others. We want to see evidence and results, of course. We need commercial evidence too. But I also want to see the person behind the business. The entries that stand out are rarely the most polished ones. They're the most authentic. And I don't particularly like the authentic word, but they're the ones that make the judges go, wow. So after more than a decade of running awards, judging awards and watching people step forward, I've realised something. The prize isn't often the trophy itself. Yes, it's a nice to have, but it's not even the title of being award winner. The real prize is becoming the sort of person who puts themselves forward, the person who stops waiting, the person who stops shrinking, and the person who stops assuming somebody else is more deserving. And it's the person who decides that their story matters. Because your visibility doesn't begin when somebody gives you recognition. It begins when you decide to stop hiding from it. So my mic drop moment this week is every opportunity starts with somebody deciding they're worthy of applying or entering. Not worthy of winning, just worthy of applying. Because visibility doesn't begin when somebody gives you that recognition. It begins when you decide to stop hiding from it. And perhaps today is the day you stop taking yourself or talking yourself out of these opportunities and start putting yourself forward for them instead. I'll be back very, very soon. And this is just a gentle reminder that at the time of recording, the Woman Who Solopreneur Awards are open for entry, but not for long. So why don't you visit womanwho.co.uk/awards, and maybe you could be the one entering the awards this year. Thank you for listening to the Mic Drop Moments podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Join me next week for more inspiration, learning, and top tips. Want to work with me on your business growth and strategy, speaking, or simply growing your audience? Just get in touch. Visit womanwho.co.uk to find out how you can start your speaking and visibility journey, or even feature on a future podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss next week's podcast. And if there are any topics you would like to hear, just get in touch with me, your host, Sandra Garlick.